Today, I want to talk about something critical: why traditional security models are failing, and how zero trust architecture provides a modern solution that actually works in today's cloud-first remote work world. By the end of this session, you'll understand what zero trust is and why it matters, and practical steps to implement it in your organization. For decades, we've relied on what I call the castle and moat approach to security. You can see it here in this diagram. The idea was simple: build a strong perimeter firewall, and once you're inside, you're trusted. Everything outside is dangerous. Everything inside is safe. This worked reasonably well when everyone worked in offices, when applications lived in on-premise data centers, and when we could clearly define what inside meant. The key characteristics were straightforward: trusted internal network, untrusted external network. Once someone got past the firewall, they had broad access. Security focused entirely on protecting the edge. But here's the problem: the castle doesn't work when threats are already inside. Look at this statistic: 68% of breaches involve internal actors or compromised credentials. 2/3. That means traditional perimeter security is missing the majority of actual threats. Why? Because the world has fundamentally changed. Cloud services have blurred our network perimeters. Remote work has eliminated the office boundary entirely. Attackers don't need to break through the firewall when they can compromise credentials and walk right through the front door. And once they're in, lateral movement. They move from system to system because everything inside is trusted. This is why we need a fundamentally different approach. We need zero trust. Look at this diagram. Every single request, whether from a user, a device, an application, or accessing data, goes through verification. Nothing is trusted by default. Zero trust is a security model that assumes breach has already happened. It treats every request as if it's coming from an untrusted network, regardless of where it originates. The key shift here is profound. We're moving from a network perimeter to an identity perimeter. Location doesn't matter anymore. Being on the corporate network doesn't grant you trust. Instead, trust is never assumed. It's always earned through continuous verification, every single time. This changes everything about how we approach security. Zero trust isn't a product you buy. It's built on 4 core principles that guide every decision. First, verify explicitly. Use all available data points for authentication. User identity, device health, location, behavior patterns, everything. Don't just check once, check continuously. Second, least privilege access. This is a huge one. Users get just in time, just enough access to do their job, nothing more. We limit the blast radius of any potential compromise. Third, assume breach. This is the mindset shift. We don't ask if we'll be breached, we assume we already have been. So we minimize damage through segmentation. We limit lateral movement. We monitor everything. Fourth, continuous verification. Security isn't a checkpoint at login. It's constant. If behavior changes, if risk increases, access can be revoked immediately. These principles guide everything in zero trust. Now, how do we actually implement this? Through the 5 pillars that work together. Think of these as architectural pillars holding up your security foundation. Identity. This is your first pillar, and arguably the most important. Users, services, devices. Identity becomes your security perimeter. Devices. Monitor device health and compliance. Is this device secure? Is it patched? Is it managed? Network. Micro-segmentation instead of flat networks. Encrypted connections everywhere. Data. Classification, encryption, and access controls. protect data at rest and in transit. Applications, secure access and runtime protection. Every app is a potential attack vector. Each pillar must be secured independently, but they work together. And as you see, this red layer on top, that's continuous verification and monitoring across everything. This isn't just theory, these are actual building blocks of implementation. So what technologies actually enable this? You don't need to memorize this list, but let me highlight just a few key ones. Multi-factor authentication and identity access management. This is your foundation. Identity first, always. Micro-segmentation. This limits lateral movement. If an attacker gets in, they can't roam freely. Security information and event management and endpoint detection and response. You need visibility. You can't protect what you can't see. The key point, these technologies exist. They're mature and they work together to enable zero trust. So let's talk about how you actually implement this. Here's the good news. You don't need to rip out everything or replace everything overnight. Zero trust is a journey, and we take it in practical, incremental steps. Step 1. Assess your current state. Map your assets, identify critical data, evaluate existing controls. Where are you vulnerable? Step 2. Start with identity. This is foundational. Implement strong authentication, MFA, IAM. Get this right first. Step 3. Add segmentation and monitoring. Deploy micro-segmentation to limit movement. Turn on continuous monitoring for visibility. Step 4. Iterate and improve. Continuously refine policies based on what you're seeing. This is not a project with an end date. It's an ongoing process. This is where organizations get stuck. They think zero trust is too hard, too disruptive. But with the right approach and expertise, it's absolutely achievable. You take it step by step, you measure progress, and you build momentum. This addresses one of the biggest concerns I hear. Why do this? What are the actual business outcomes? Reduced attack surface. Micro-segmentation and least privilege mean attackers have nowhere to go. Lower risk translates to lower insurance costs, fewer incidents, and less downtime. Better visibility. Continuous monitoring means you see what's happening in real time. When something goes wrong, you know immediately. Faster detection, faster response, less damage. Regulatory compliance. This is a huge one. GDPR, HIPAA, PCI, DSS, whatever framework you're under, Zero Trust helps you meet those requirements. Auditors love it because you can prove continuous verification. Cloud ready. Here's a big one. Zero Trust secures hybrid cloud and multi-cloud environments without the complexity of VPNs and traditional network controls. It works everywhere. I've seen organizations reduce their security incidents by 70% after implementing Zero Trust. I've seen audit cycles cut in half. The benefits are real and measurable. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you this is easy. Let's be honest about the challenge. Legacy systems can be tough. Not everything supports modern authentication. Complexity of migration is real. There's an initial investment in time, money, and resources. User experience needs careful consideration, and there's cultural and organizational change. These are real obstacles, but with the right approach, they're all manageable. Executive sponsorship makes it a priority. A phased rollout approach prevents disruption. User education and training gets buy-in, and clear metrics show progress and builds momentum. This is where expertise matters. I've helped organizations navigate these challenges. We know where the pitfalls are, and more importantly, we know how to avoid them. Let me show you this based on real standards. This isn't just Alan's opinion or best practice. Zero Trust is mandated and standardized. Executive Order 14028. The federal US government requires all agencies to adopt Zero Trust. This is driving enterprise adoption globally. NIST SB 800-207. This defines the official standard for Zero Trust architecture. Core principles, deployment models, everything we've discussed is based on this. CISA, Zero Trust Maturity Model, provides a roadmap from traditional to optimal state across the 5 pillars. This is how you measure progress. And it aligns perfectly with ISO 27001 for your information security and management needs. So this isn't experimental. This is the standard, and major cloud providers have built native support. If you're on AWS, IAM Identity Center provides your identity foundation. Verified access gives you Zero Trust network access. Security groups and private link handle network segmentation. On Azure AD conditional access, private link, network security groups, Azure Firewall. On GCP, Beyond Core Enterprise is Google's Zero Trust solution. Identity Aware Proxy, VPC Service Controls, Cloud Armor. And for containerized workloads running on Kubernetes, service mesh technologies like Istio and Linkerd provide mutual TLS between services. OPA and Kyverno enforce policies at admission time and runtime. The point is, these aren't theoretical concepts. The tooling exists, it's mature, and it's supported. And it integrates with your existing investments. Now, for those of you in platform engineering or DevOps, I want to address something critical. The misconception that security slows you down. Zero Trust, when done right, actually enables velocity. Look at DORA metrics, the standard for measuring DevOps performance. Deployment frequency. Secure CI/CD pipelines with automated verification at every stage actually let you deploy more confidently and more often. Lead time for changes. Streamlined security approvals through policy as code means faster delivery. Change failure rate reduced through automated testing and policy enforcement before production. Time to restore. Faster instant response because you have granular access control and better visibility. Policy as code with tools like OPA and Sentinel, GitOps with Argo CD and Flux for audible deployments, shift left security in development lifecycle, observability with Prometheus, Grafana, Datadog. Security and speed are not trade-offs, they're complementary. Zero Trust, done properly, gives you both. Let me wrap up. The thing to remember is Zero Trust is essential for modern security. The traditional perimeter model is broken. This is the path forward. Start with identity and implement incrementally. You don't need to boil the ocean. Begin with strong authentication and add layers progressively. Continuous verification is the key to success. Not just at login, not just at the perimeter, but constantly. And the benefits far outweigh the implementation challenges. Reduced risk, better visibility, regulatory compliance, cloud readiness. Now here's what I ask you. If you're ready to explore what Zero Trust means for your organization, I'd like to invite you to visit alanops.com and book a free online assessment. In that session, we'll evaluate your current security posture, identify quick wins you can implement immediately, create a roadmap tailored to your specific environment and constraints, and answer any technical questions your team has. Zero Trust is the future of security. The question isn't whether to adopt it, but how quickly you can get started.